Welcome to 60 Minutes with PD. Another Saturday night with PD. Another fastest moving 60 minutes of the day. That's right. Fastest moving 60 minutes of the day. Welcome, welcome, welcome. How are you doing? Good to see you all. Welcome to 60 Minutes. Our topic today is making the best of our in-laws. Eva, how are you? Let me wave here. Ania Models, hi. How you doing? Good to see you. Good to see you. We're going to have an amazing evening. It's going to be one of our fastest moving evenings. We're talking about in-laws. Everybody has in-laws. You know, if you get married, once it's a spouse, there has to be in-laws. So we're going to learn a lot about our in-laws today. You know, we get to choose our spouses. We take a lot of time choosing who the spouse will be. But do you know we don't choose our in-laws? They just come. It's a package. They come with our spouses. How are you doing today? How are we doing today? Good to see you all. Good to see you all. Good to see you all. So yes. How are we doing? Yes, Jasmine, how are you? Vivian, how are you? Very good, very good. Amazing. Okay. So, welcome to 60 Minutes with PD, your fastest moving 60 minutes of the day. It's every Saturday at 8:30 p.m. right here on Instagram at PIIDII19. It's, just please follow me. Please follow me. It's amazing. We want everybody to follow me right now. So please follow me. Get your friends to follow me. And, it's only 60 minutes. It's never enough. But guess what? I'll be back next week, Saturday. And it's at 8:30. We have that hour, 8:30 hour on lockdown. 8:30 on Saturday evening is PD time. Let's just have that. 8:30 on Saturday is PD time. How are you, Despicable? Yes, that's an interesting name. How are we doing? How are you? So while I'm on, please feel free to ask me any question at all on relationships, marriage, and life. Please follow me right here on PIDI19. I'm on YouTube, so please follow me on YouTube. It's at PIDI19 as well. And let's do life together with wisdom. Get your friends. Let's follow. Today's topic is making the best of your in-laws. Relating to your in-laws, what you shouldn't say about your in-laws to your spouse, boundaries, putting your parents in check, protecting your spouse from your parents. We're going to discuss a lot of stuff. And these are things that's necessary. Because it's interesting that I said this earlier, that we take a lot of time to choose our spouses. But guess what? We don't really get to select our in-laws. We get what comes. So we've really got to be equipped to handle them properly. And that there's some things that we innocently do and allow with our in-laws that come back and bite us later on. So it's good to know what's what. So we'll know what the red flags are regarding in-laws. I mean, that's really important. So once again, this is 60 Minutes with PD. It's relationships that are worked on that work. You have got to work on your relationship. If you have a partner that does not want to work on the relationship, you got to work on them, Let's leave it at that. Okay, so amazing. So first thing, your spouse comes with in-laws. So this in-law thing that we're talking about today, it affects everybody. Everybody. At some point in time, you're going to get a spouse, and when you get your spouse, there'll be in-laws. When I say in-laws, I'm not just saying the father-in-law and the mother-in-law. I mean, brother-in-laws come in, and sister-in-laws come in, and all sorts of family members come in, and some, sometimes to live with you for extended periods of time. And, these things have an impact on your relationship, and we need to look at it tonight. So when you're talking with your spouse, you can say, well, you know what, your sister needs to live with us for like 6 months. What's the implication? How are we going to do it? What are the boundaries going to be? Set it in, put things in place, and if possible, can we just rent her somewhere on the outside so we can have our privacy? Because there's something about in-laws in the house that demystifies your relationship. You know how you've been telling them how great your husband is, and telling them how great your wife is, and then now they live with you for 3, 4, 5 months, and they see the little quarrels here and there, and everything is demystified. Stuff happening in your home is being reported in the village, and people are talking about it at home just because there's somebody living in your house that's that's a relative, that's an in-law, that's passing the information back to base. Do we understand what I'm saying? Fantastic. In-law interference is about the third highest reason for divorce. Right after infidelity and abuse, just interference by in-laws in marriages is actually like the third highest reason why people get divorced. So it might not look like an important topic, but it's a topic that is important, and we have to deal like in-laws come with a package. Too many times we never think about the in-laws. We're focused on this amazing person that's going to be a great spouse for me, for you, and like, well, I'm going to go for it. But they come with the package. The package is in-laws. So let's start to learn some things. And that's why I love these sessions. We learn so much that when we move forward, we're equipped for success. We're just not going blind. We're not going naive. We know what leads to what. So we know what to allow and what not to allow. Amazing. Okay. In-laws are important. They are the parents. The in-laws are quite important because if it's the father-in-law, mother-in-law, it's your spouse's parent, and their parents are important to them. So they're important to you too because you love them and they're their parents. So it's an important topic that we need to know. How to handle them. And truly, your parents-in-law have probably known your spouse longer than you have. Except you've been married for maybe 22, 23 years. But if not, they actually know your spouse. They've known him longer. But right now you're in a relationship where you are expected to be the priority in his life. So there's a transition stage with in-laws, especially when you first get married, one, and secondly, when the baby comes. There's always an in-law issue when you first get married because that's when you're getting to define what's going on and your boundaries. And when the baby comes as well, there's something that you have to do dealing with in-laws. But we'll get to that in a minute. Do not go into marriage with the mindset that all in-laws are bad. And I've seen that. Some people just assume in-laws are bad. So when they come in, they expect the worst. They're already treating the in-laws. They're putting them at arm's length. And they are just behaving negatively to them. But you don't want to do that. To be quite frank, quite a few in-laws are quite good, are quite nice people. So come in with an open mind and see what you have. And if you have to work on your in-laws, then that's what you have. If they're great in-laws and they're really good, that's amazing. Enjoy them. But don't assume that they're all bad so that you're just responding negatively to what they say, no matter what, because it's interesting when you think that they're bad, even when they say innocent things, you'll take it wrongly because you think it's coming from a bad place, from a bad heart. So, let's not make up our minds till we meet them. Some of you have already met them, so some of you already know the deal. So, please, put some comments on. I want quite a lot of questions tonight. The questions that you ask gets me to tell you a whole lot of stuff that I may not have been planning to say. So please, let's have the questions. Okay. Coming with an open mind. The key to getting the best result out of your in-laws is unity between you and your spouse. And this is key. And if you're writing, this is what like you and your spouse have got to be united. So we've planned what we want to do. The in-laws come and try to make us do what they want to do, but we just don't move. It's like you and your spouse, you are one. So like if you're united, then your in-laws can't turn you against each other or just use one person to abuse or oppress the other person. Okay, so you guys have got to be tight, so tight that your in-laws can't find any cracks in your unity, you and your spouse. So if your spouse is with you, just tell them tight unity. Okay. Yes, the key. Bad in-laws always want to maintain a bond with your spouse that is closer than the bond that you have with your spouse. And that's like, I'll talk about bad in-laws. A bad in-law wants to just say, this is my son, or yes, and they want to maintain a strong bond with your spouse that's stronger than yours. But that's just not the way it's supposed to be. Like you and your spouse are one unit, indivisible, okay? And then the both of you deal with everybody else as one. So you guys come together, you make up your mind, you talk, you decide, and whatever you decide, you stick with it. You can't decide something and then you come back and say, well, my mom said, and then you just turn everything upside down. Don't do that. So if you're listening, don't do that. Bad in-laws want to control your spouse. I want to control you through your spouse. Bad in-laws want to control how things are done in your home through your spouse. You are on 60 Minutes with PD. Please follow me right here. Let's do relationships together. Please fill my contact form in my bio, okay? And I offer free confidential counseling. Please send your testimonials and follow me on YouTube as well. Please DM me the topics that you'd like us to discuss in future. So if you have some topic that you'd like us to discuss in future, please DM me and we'll talk about it. Bad in-laws want to influence your spouse against things you've decided with your spouse. They want to have their own way in your house. You and your spouse have got to be united to speak with one mouth. You must not allow your in-laws to find cracks in your unity. In-laws have a certain amount of influence over your spouse. In-laws can influence or affect your marriage positively or negatively. It's okay for your spouse to love their in-laws, and they should, but not to the detriment of your marriage. So it's okay for a spouse to love his parents or her parents. I mean, that's normal. They should, but not to the detriment of your marriage. You know, your wife is your next of kin. You are one. That's something I want to drum in tonight. Is like you and your wife, you are one. She's your next of kin, and your husband is your next of kin. You and him are one. So in all your communication, know that. Okay, it's betrayal to side up with your parents against your spouse. I'll say it one more time because I know there's somebody out there that needs to hear this. It's a betrayal to side up with your parents against your spouse. Your in-laws should not know everything you do in your house. Your home is yours. You must have clear boundaries in your home. Both of you must defend these boundaries. Both you and your spouse need to defend the boundaries that you've made around your home. Again, you're on 60 Minutes with PD at my PID19 on Instagram. Always go out of your way to ask after your in-laws. And this is important. Don't have your spouse have to ask you to ask after his or her parents. You know, by yourself. Care for them, love them enough, be really kind to them, and ask after your in-laws a lot by yourself. Frequently, do not do for your in-laws what you do for your parents. And there are times when you want to do something for your parents, but then you don't want to do the same thing for your in-laws. Come together with your spouse and agree that, this is what we're doing for our parents. And then we do this to our parents regularly. It's always very good when you and your spouse are united and you're doing these things for your parents together. And don't go home, and even if you're the one giving, tell your parents that it's from us. It's from us. So that way there's a unity that your parents see, so there's no crack. So even though it might be you giving it, just say, well, this is from us on both sides. Did we get this? We're talking about in-laws today. It's making the best of our in-laws. You and your spouse should agree to be transparent with whatever you do for your in-laws. There are times when some spouses want to do some things for their mother, but don't want the wife to know, or that kind of thing. Let's not do that. Let's be open with ourselves to the point where there's transparency. This is what we are doing for our parents. So we're not hiding to do anything with our parents. We just get that. Always portray your spouse in good light to your parents. And that's true. It's very important that, like, how's your wife doing? She's amazing. She's just like an angel. It's like heaven must be missing an angel. How's your husband? He's an amazing man. He provides and everything. And then your in-laws have this amazing, perception of your spouse. The only thing is when they come live with you for a long period of time, I'm going to talk about that in a minute. When they live with you for a long period of time, these things, they start to demystify the perception that you've given them. So actually, encouraging in-laws to come and stay for long periods of time is something that you don't want to do, except they have to. And even if they have to, there has to be some boundaries, because that's where things start to happen. Okay, so always defend your spouse with your parents, and that's true. If your parents come against your spouse, you defend them with your parents, and your spouse does that for you. So that way, you're not in an open battle with their parents. Okay, so that's what happens normally. You try your best. If you see that your parents are like rising up against your spouse, you want to talk to them and explain, his or her good side and everything, and that way you protect your spouse from your parents. And that's a good thing. Don't just send your parents to don't do that. Always defend your parents. Do not agree with your parents to mistreat your spouse. Okay, that's very important. Don't agree with your parents to mistreat, because that's just a betrayal. It's you and your spouse are one. Don't agree with your parents to mistreat your spouse. Make sure your spouse is comfortable when your in-laws visit. That's important. Make sure that your in-laws don't make your spouse uncomfortable when they visit. Okay, so just have your gauge out there, see how things are going, and make sure that your spouse is comfortable, because it's their home, it's your home, and your in-laws are visiting. So your spouse must be comfortable, with them there. Don't make your in-laws get them uncomfortable. Don't say derogatory things about your in-laws to your spouse. And that's true. It's like this, your father-in-law is your spouse's father. So don't say anything derogatory about him because you hurt your spouse, and for both sides. So just don't do that. Do not just make it a habit that you don't say bad things or abusive words towards your in-law to your spouse. That's not a good thing. Once again, you are on 60 Minutes with PD. You are going to be an in-law one day, okay? Start to make up your mind to be a good in-law. Now, it's one thing for us to discuss in-laws and everything, but every single one of us, at some point in time, you're going to become an in-law. So I want to ask you today, what kind of in-law will you be? And to be quite frank, people become bad in-laws, not because they plan to be bad in-laws, they just worked their way into it. And in a few minutes, I'll explain why, okay? So start to make up your mind to be a good in-law. Some mothers today are already setting up their sons to be bad husbands, and that is true. It's true and it's true. You carried him for 9 months, you've labored over him and everything. But know this, this young man is going to grow up one day and come home with a woman and say, well, I love this woman, I'm leaving home, and I'm following her now, and she's going to be my first love. That day is going to come. Except I don't know what you're thinking, but it's going to come. So it's fine. Love your son, love your daughter, do whatever that you're doing with them, but do it with a mindset that one day, this, your child, is not your husband who said, till death do us part. The child has no vows towards you. He's going to move on one day. So there's a kind of love that you'll invest in this child, that when he brings a woman in, you will oppose her. Or even it's a man, you will oppose him, because the kind of love you've invested in this child is not the type of love you should have invested. There's something called spousal love, and there's something called parental love. There are two different kinds of love. If you invest spousal, I'll just break it down. Most women who have no husbands, or who are in a home where they are being abused, and there's nowhere for them, their husbands are not available emotionally, okay? So they are pent up emotionally, and then they have a child, and then they love this child, but not with a parental kind of love, but it is with a spousal kind of love. The kind of love you give a husband who has sworn to you that he will never leave you. So now that you've loved this child in an illegitimate way, okay? So when it's time for this child to go and fly with another woman or another man, you make him feel bad, you guilt trip him or her, and then when this woman comes in, you just don't know why, but you hate this woman or you hate this man, because as far as you can think, they are coming to take away from you a person that belongs to you, and your son does not belong to you. Do you get that? Your son, you are a steward of your son. You have this child to keep till they fly. You have this child to raise till they go. But if you love them with a spousal kind of love, you will not be able to release them when they're supposed to go. Is anybody listening? Did we get this? So it's true that you sacrifice over these children, but you can't have that kind of attachment on them. And their parents that tell their child that, I raised you and I loved you and you will never leave me. When you get married, you must do this, you must do this. And you're already brainwashing the child, to just fail in his marriage, because you have this attachment that's not healthy. It's an unhealthy attachment to your children, and you mustn't have that. You just mustn't. You've got to perceive that when your child gets married, you are receiving an extra child. You're receiving a son, you're receiving a daughter, in addition to your family. You are not losing. Anytime you start to think, I'm losing a child or something like that, it gets really bad. Perception really matters. You've got to get yourself ready for this transition. It's a transition. Parents that see, yes. Parents that see their son's marriage as a situation in which they have lost their son, or always do badly. If you just see that you've lost your son, you do badly as an in-law. If you see that you gained a daughter or a son, you will do very well. Okay, you have to be intentional about how you perceive your child's marriage. Many in-laws have ruined their children's marriages. Let's not be in that statistic. I have a serious warning for single mothers and mothers in bad relationships, in bad marriages. Because you have no husband to give your love to, or because your emotionally absent husband is not available to receive your love, you now give that love to your child. It is unhealthy. You are setting up yourself for heartbreak or to be a terrible mother-in-law. This child you have created, with this child, you've created a soul tie with this child, and that's a problem, because you aren't supposed to have a soul tie with your children. You have a soul tie with your husband. You have found yourself resisting their spouse and being a problem to them. Many women don't know how they have become this horrible mother-in-law from hell, struggling with their son's wife for his love. But this is how it happens. Parental love is different from spousal love. You do not give spousal love to your child. It's unhealthy. As an in-law, your responsibility is to strengthen your child's marriage, not to be the agent of division in the marriage. As an in-law, you are not supposed to be the wedge that comes between your child and the spouse. This is a tip, okay? Kill your in-laws with kindness and courtesy. This is what works. Just overlook their shortcomings. Just overwhelm them with kindness and courtesy. Ask for their advice. Let them see that you value their input, and just ask for their advice, and it kind of calms them down. If you have to work for your in-laws, ensure that you have suitable conditions. Because sometimes you work for your in-laws and it can be tricky. It can be really tricky. You've got to make sure that the conditions are suitable. Try to never have to live with your in-laws. If you have to establish, and if you do, you have to establish clear boundaries. Physical boundaries, if you can get your own gate, have your own gate. If you have your own fence, have your own fence. But, have as many boundaries as possible. Familiarity breeds contempt. That's something you want to keep in your mind with in-laws. Don't just have your in-laws in the house all the time with your wife or with your husband. I advise men to create distance with their mothers now that they're married. This might sound a bit strange, but it's true. Create some distance with your mom when you're married. So, so that way you can pull your wife closer and let your mom know that, this is the unit. Men, don't surrender your authority because you married up. Because you married up and then, you're working for dad or something, you still are the head of your household. Do not surrender your authority. Do not encourage unannounced visits from your in-laws. Do not encourage open-ended visits. The times when in-laws come and it could be a brother-in-law, sister-in-law, but it's open-ended. It's like they're here for we don't know how long. Watch out for that as well. Don't make your home an assembly of your relatives. Too many times, we're just married 6 months, and then next thing your brother, your sister, your cousin, everybody has come to live with us. And then, don't do that. It's detrimental to your marriage. It starts to pull you and your husband or wife apart, having all these family members living in your house. So let's not do that. Okay, don't make your house an assembly of your relatives. Long-term in-law visits, don't encourage long-term in-law visits, and they result in couples drifting apart. When in-laws come and stay for long, they drift apart. Men, you are not married to your mother, so do not be married to your mother. You are married to your wife. So this is a tip to men. You're not married to your mother, married to your wife. Husbands, put your mother in check if you have to. Speak up for your wife. She's your wife, so just speak up for your wife. The two times to expect your in-laws to have in-law issues are when you first get married and when the baby comes. Don't put your mother first, put your wife first. I'll say it one more time. Don't put your mother first, put your wife first. You are not supposed to hate your in-laws. Love them. Shower them with love. In-laws living with you always demystifies your marriage. Avoid it. I am done. I hope that we heard some things about in-laws today. It's really important because in-laws come and in-laws are always there. We have to deal with them. So we have to know how to deal with them. Tonight I have a guest. Her name is Jasmine. She's from Ghana. And I'm about to invite Jasmine right now. Okay. So let's get some questions about in-laws. I know in-law issues are issues that people have a lot of. So let's start. Hi, Jasmine. I can see you. This is really good.
Can you hear
Hello.
me? Hello.
I can hear you. Speak louder, but I can hear you.
Can you hear me? Okay. Thank you for having me.
Good. I'm really glad to see you, Jasmine. Jasmine's from Ghana, so she's from Accra. So that, say hi to my Accra people out there. Fantastic. So we're talking about in-laws, making the best of our in-laws. Fantastic. So what questions do you have for me?
Pardon? I can't hear
Yes,
you.
what questions do you have for me?
The line is breaking. Uh-oh.
Okay, ask me your questions. Can you hear me? I'm ready to answer your questions.
Yes, yes. Yes, so my first question is, should you really get your in-laws in your corner? Should you really have them on your side? Is it really necessary to have a relationship, for the survival of the marriage?
Okay. Yes, to be quite frank, you're better off having a good relationship with your in-laws because whether you like it or not, your in-laws are the parents of your husband or wife. Okay, and to be quite frank, they've known their parents for a long time, longer than you have. And we were created to be social beings. There's a connection. People have connections with their parents, and if you get along with them, the whole relationship is better. It's better. It removes some tension. And I think we should all bend over to draw our in-laws in and have a good relationship with them. If they become impossible, then we'll figure out what to do. But we really must try to have a good relationship with them. We must have boundaries too. When in-laws get too close, boundaries are violated, and that's where problems come in. But there should be boundaries, but we should have a good relationship with them. I believe so. Very good question.
Yes. So okay, so this is a personal approach. I'm always, mental readiness has been my personal approach. And so I believe that nobody likes new ones, because predictability is so easy to work with. You understand? And so I should be mentally ready for a good approach, to make up your mind that, like the soldier, the old soldier, I don't know if you know the story about the old soldier mentor who's talking to his mentee, and he's saying that do not fight, to the north or to the south. Fight every battle everywhere, always in your mind. Everyone is your enemy, everyone is your friend. And so every possible series of events is all happening at once in your mind. And so if you live that way, nothing will surprise you. Everything that happens will be something that you have lived before, seen before in yourself. That has been my approach. Do you think it's a good one? Is it a good one?
I really believe that we should come in with an open mind. And we've got to take in-laws as they we've got to take them as they are. Never come in. See, if you come in to the relationship thinking in-laws are bad, there could be things that your in-law would do with a good intention. Okay, but because you already think they're bad, your interpretation of what they say or do will be negative. So your response to it will be negative. And then at the end of the day, it will become a self-fulfilling prophecy. Because you assume that they're bad people, they become bad people. But if you assume that they're good people, or you just have an open mind, then you can actually get to know who they are and respond to them, and hopefully you get the best of them. So let's not come with a predetermined mindset.
I don't know if you can hear me.
Okay. The line is cracking, but talk to me. Hello?
Hello, I can hear you. Somebody says my sound is a bit off. So I believe they didn't hear my question.
Okay.
Hello?
Please, okay, say it again. Say it again.
Somebody said my line is muffled, so I don't know if they want me to repeat the question. Somebody wants to hear me, to say they can't hear me. Yeah.
So guys, can you hear Jasmine?
I can hear you, yes. But I can't see your face.
You can hear me? Okay, let me. I saw something here. Is it me or Jasmine's sound is a bit off? Okay, this is somebody says that your sound. Just talk slowly, talk loud. I think we can do this.
Do you want me to log off and log back in?
Okay, you know what? Why don't you call back? Just call back. Come off and call back. Hopefully the line will be better. Okay, let's do this. Okay, good. So people, we're talking to Jasmine in Ghana. I think if we can get her on, fine. If not, we'll take Buffy. Hopefully Buffy is on. And if not, we'll discuss. Send me a whole bunch of questions, and if we have to, you and I will discuss this today. I can't find you anymore, Jasmine. Hi, people. Adesso, you're there. Wow, Adesso, you're here. Jasmine, okay, send requests. Hopefully that was yes, that was. We'll see how it goes. If it's clear, then we'll take it. We're talking about let's see. Any questions? Can't hear her as well. Okay, good.
Okay.
Questions? Hello, Jasmine. Hello. Okay, I heard that.
Yes, yes, yes. I think it's better now.
Okay, good. Talk slowly. Talk loud.
Okay, okay. So my question was, I said, okay, so first off, I said, this has been my approach, my mental readiness for anything that could happen. So it could be positive, it could be negative, right? I shared a story about, an old soldier who was teaching his mentee. I'm repeating the question. And so he said, do not fight to the north or in the south. Fight every battle everywhere, always in your mind. Everyone is your enemy, everyone is your friend. Every possible series of events is all happening at once, all in your mind. And so everything that happens is something that you have seen before. You understand? And so this is what my approach has been. I believe nobody likes new ones. Everybody wants to work with, predictability because it's so easy. And so do you think it's a good approach? That was my question.
Okay, what I heard is that the mentality is that you fight everybody everywhere in your mind.
No,
Is that what
it's
you're
like,
saying?
in your mind, you're mentally ready for everything. It could be anything. It could be nice.
Okay.
It could be,
Okay.
so be ready. So anything that happens, you feel it before in your mind. So anybody could be your friend. It could
Okay.
be your enemy. It could be whatever. You understand? And when you
Okay.
think, oh, this is my friend, and then they break your heart, then that's where the problem comes in. And when you think they're your enemy and they become friends with you, you get the point I'm making. And so you have to be mentally ready for anything. People can change at any time. Is that a
It's
good
good to be
approach?
mentally ready.
Yes, for
It's good to be mentally
anything,
ready.
for anything that can
It's
happen.
good. It's good to be mentally ready.
Yes.
But there's a way that you could be mentally ready for the negative in a good situation where you don't allow yourself to enjoy what's good because you're too busy being mentally ready for the next foot to drop or something bad to happen. It's like you finally found the really good person who's loving you the way God wants them to love you, but you don't give yourself because there's this for you to be mentally ready for the for something bad to happen in every situation. There is a part of your soul or your heart that you do not give up in your mental readiness for this negativity. So it's a good approach initially, but when you finally settle and say, well, this is the person, then you need to let go to some degree. If not, you see, I have this thing where I would what's the word? How I'd rather just live life fully than not live it at all. So it's like if you're gonna do it, just really get the best out of life than live it halfway and then not enjoy what life really had for you because you are trying to be in control. Any other question? Any other question? Can you hear me? I can't hear her. Okay, people, let me see. I have a couple questions here already. How about we let's see your questions. Let's answer some questions tonight. First question I have here is, my husband will do anything for anything his mom asks him to do, without asking for my opinion. What should I do? Now, a marriage is a union of two people. It involves two people, and you've got to carry yourselves along. True, you love your mom, and she's asked for some stuff. You've really got to talk to your spouse. Get an agreement with them, and then do it. Okay, and hopefully your spouse is, she loves you, or they love you. They're not going to say no unreasonably. If your spouse says no to something you want to do, please look into the reasons why, and most likely there'll be some kind of reason there. You just get that. So, and if you're the person that your mom is putting pressure on you to do something, make sure you get agreement with your spouse before you go ahead. Did we get that? Before you go ahead, make sure that you get agreement. That is so important. Next question here is, my mother-in-law visits our home without any prior notice. She just comes and stays for as long as she wants. How can I stop this from happening? Everything starts with talking with your husband, with your spouse. Even before you get married, these like these topics, the good thing is, because we're discussing this now, even before you get married, discuss these things, because it's important. It will happen. Everybody has in-laws, and the key is that discuss it. Everything is done on agreement. If two of you have not agreed on it, then don't go and agree outside by yourself. And just don't encourage it. There's got to be boundaries. It's your house. There's got to be boundaries. Boundaries. Let's know when you're coming. Let's know when you're leaving. Just let's know what's going on. There's got to be boundaries. And the two of you, the key, like I said, is the unity of you and your husband. If you and your husband are united, your in-laws cannot find a crack in between you to divide you. And as long as your in-laws don't divide you, you're good. Because what we're trying to prevent is in-laws coming in, pulling you apart, and breaking the marriage. And that's what we're trying to put things in place to make sure it doesn't happen. And because you've heard this, you're going to be looking back, because I'll tell you this, you always look at your parent like they're innocent and they love you. And that's true. They're innocent and they love you. But their love for you can destroy your marriage. So you've got to be careful to make sure that you put things in place. Okay? My mother-in-law always insists on cooking for my husband when she comes to visit. And my husband doesn't see anything wrong in it. What should I do? Her cooking must be good if he's not saying anything. Okay. Talk to your husband. And there's a way he will discourage her, because to be quite frank, it's your house, it's your kitchen, it's your everything. She shouldn't come and just take over your kitchen like that. But your husband has got to be in agreement with you. Better Will says the reason is always because they are not ready to allow their child prioritize another person. That is so true. They just can't fathom it. And that's what I said earlier on. There is a love that you give your child that's unhealthy. Seriously. See, and most times if you watch it, these mothers that do this, their husbands are not emotionally available, or there's no man in the house, there's no husband. So they've turned they have married their sons, and there is a soul tie between them. And now now the wife is on the outside, just looking into this love affair going between son and mother. It's not supposed to be that way. A man shall leave his father and his mother and go and be joined to his wife. So we are expected to grow out of the house. Are we good? Okay. My husband's eldest sister likes to inspect, monitor my cooking when she's around, telling what to do and when to do in my kitchen. How can I stop her without a fight? Again, it's her brother that has to talk to her. Again, it's her brother that's going to say, you know what, sister, you're in your house. I don't come there to harass your husband. Please don't come and harass my wife. There has got to be boundaries. Everybody say boundaries. There's got to be boundaries. You and your husband must agree that these boundaries, we are going to establish these boundaries. Okay? It's like, you know what? My kitchen is my kitchen. So mom, sister, when you come to my house, please stay out of my kitchen. Okay? Because the kitchen belongs to my wife. They may say, okay, are you the first person to have a wife? Say, yes, I am. It belongs to my wife. So stay out of it. But just make sure that you defend your wife in every situation. But basically, you must be united. You must discuss many, many things, and both parties must defend the other with their parents. Same thing, because so far we're talking as if it's the man only that has a problem. Sometimes it's the woman, and you've got to talk to your parents. Like, you know what, you can't do this to my husband. You can't, you can't override his authority. You can't do this, you can't do that. And you establish the boundaries. And those boundaries have got to be established as soon as possible. Fantastic. Next question. My husband wants his aged father to move into our home, and I'm not okay with it. But he says it's his responsibility to take care of his father as the first son. I'm not okay with this, but he has made up his mind. What do I do? We have to look at defenses, at finances and other things. If you have enough money, then you can move the father close by and employ help. Do everything you can to have your home to yourself. Once an in-law starts to live with you full time, if some part of your marriage is over, it's over. The privacy, it's just over. It has been depreciated. So do whatever you can. If you can afford a place close by, get the place close by, get some help. If it's on the inside, remodel the house in a way where there is some part of the house that's still for you and your husband only, and there's some part of the house that's common area for for whoever is there. But try your best to have some kind of boundary, some kind of separation where so that you and your husband can have a space, a territory that belongs to you. You cannot live your marital life just endlessly without having a territory that belongs to you. This your territory now is shared with your brothers-in-law and sisters-in-law, father-in-law permanently. That marriage will not last because your marriage needs a territory that belongs to the two of you, that you both existed, comfortably in privacy. Do you hear that? Okay, fantastic. I saw a question right here. Yes, that was Vera Wills. Yes. So it's interesting. We have to deal with in-laws, but there's a way that we deal with in-laws that is sustainable. That indeed they will not. The main thing is this: to be sure that in-laws don't come in and divide us. This is if your spouse has a bad habit, please ensure your family members don't stay over at yours, just so that they don't find out. Yeah, and that's one thing too. When in-laws come, your marriage gets demystified. You know how when your in-laws are far away and you go and visit, they respect your husband. They respect you. It's like, good husband, everything is just fine. And everything, is just great. But once they start to live with you and they start to see how, like no couple lives together without any kind of clash or some kind of interaction. They start to see these things and it starts to make them look down, not down, but it depreciates the value that they gave you or your spouse. So it's really important that we try not to do that. Okay? Do not encourage unannounced visits. Yes, please do not encourage. And you see, you can't tell say, Mama, next time call before you come. You can't do that. You can't. It is the child that's going to say, Mommy, you didn't tell us you were coming. What happened? So you've always got to be ready to defend, to speak for your partner. It's so important. The distance should be created even before the marriage. If not, they will say the spouse has come to separate the family. I mean, there's some sense that you've got a point there, Vera. And even it's important because especially with men and their mothers, we love our we actually do love our mothers, and we don't want our wives saying bad things about our parents. Nobody wants that. But at the same time, there is a distancing that you start to distance your mom if you want your house to be calm and cool. There's a level of distancing where, Mom, I can't come right now. I'll come when I'm ready. Or you can't do this, or you can't treat her like this. You really have got to, and she's a mother, so you can say it because your spouse cannot tell her that. And you want to stand your ground because there are times when I've seen parents, test you to see how determined are you to implement this thing that you're saying. And you've got to be determined. Like, you know what, Mom, you're not going to do this. You're just not, you're not going to do this. I love you to bits, but Mom, you're not going to do this. That's just the way it is. And I'll tell you this: your parents will respect you because you're being a man. You see, if you allow your parents to just ride you over like a little child, they will continue to treat you like a child. But there's a way that your son will stand up to you. That it will clear your eye that, you know what, this young man has become a man. He's a man because, the way he's standing and he's talking right now, he has gained his freedom. Transfer of spousal love to a child is so bad. That is so true. Vera, Vera is talking to me tonight. Who else is out there? Is it only Vera that's talking to me? Too many women are married to their son simply because the husband is not loving. And that is so true. That is so true. But this is better by God's special grace. I feel excellent good mother-in-law. Amen to that. Okay? And it's just so important that you see your child's spouse as an additional child. Your family just grew. Embrace them. Just love them and add them in. Don't fight them and don't push them back. Okay? Because you might not know it, but what you're doing can destroy your child's marriage. And the truth is this: there are many marriages that have been destroyed by in-laws. But then I really don't think the in-laws planned to destroy those marriages. But the people in the marriage allowed it. At the end of the day, I'm not going to blame the in-laws, to be quite frank, because people can respond the way they want. The blame falls on the married couple. The owners, the responsibility to to stay united and resist any external intrusion is on the two of you. You and your husband, it's your responsibility to be united, talk about everything, have agreement on everything, and whatever you are agreed on, don't go out there and change. It's like we agreed that we do this. The next thing you come home and say, well, mom is doing something different and I've agreed with her. No, you don't do that. Even like you can change, but come home, discuss the options, then agree again, and then go back and say, okay, we now agreed to do what you said. But at every step of the way, you did everything in agreement. And that's the key. That you're able to, I mean, agreement can be, what's the word now? Agreement doesn't have to be cast in stone. Agreement can be dynamic. That's the word. We're fine. If there's a change in circumstances or some new revelation of something, we can come back, discuss it, agree again, and go on. But each time we're out there, you're never talking for one person. And that's the key. And I'll tell you that if you're married, never talk as one person to your parents. Anytime they're talking to you, they're talking to two people. I'm not talking to anybody. At any point in time that your parents are talking to you, let them realize they're talking to two people. And these two people that they're talking to have to agree. And if it's something way out, say, well, I have to go discuss it with my wife. I have to go discuss it with my husband, and I'll let you know our response. And it's not my response, it's our response. So this is really important. And it's a mindset that you have to have. Is Bushry in the house? If Bushry is in the house, please sign on. Let's get you on. Okay, let me see. I'm not sure. But if you're here, just request to come on. Buffy, fantastic, fantastic. I hope that we're hearing something tonight about in-laws. And the truth is, in-laws will always have in-laws. You know, in-laws, as long as you have a spouse, there'll be in-laws. And too many times, we don't know the effect of a long-term stay of an in-law in our home. And that's why we agree to it really quickly. And then by the time it's played out, we are already suffering from the effects by the time it's played out. And if we're not careful, those effects can be devastating. So why tonight is a good night is that we're hearing about these things before it happens. So it's like teaching on red flags. It's like in-law red flags. Where there are in-law red flags, try your best not to go live with your in-laws. Like, no matter how comfortable it is, you know, rent somewhere small, if that's your territory, especially if you're a man. You know, if you're a man, really, really avoid living with your in-laws, with your wife. Really try not to, because I'll tell you this, your authority is going to be challenged, your everything is going to be challenged while you're doing this. So try your best not to do that. You know, no matter how rough it is, one room somewhere in the worst part of town, start there. You know, and if you work for your in-laws, let them realize that I may be working for you, but I'm going to be alongside doing something for myself, because sooner or later, I want to have my own thing. So that way you just don't end up being a servant or I don't know, you want to have your own finances that's separate from your in-laws. So even if you marry up, don't get into a situation where you're just, you know, you just lose the authority that you're supposed to have over your family because you traded it for some situation. Are we good? The distance should be created. Yes. Talk to me. Yes. One question here. Talk to me. Okay. Any questions, people? Talk to me. Any questions on in-laws? Talk to me, people. Let us see if I have any questions here. If not, I'll try and get this person in. What have we? Yes. Any in-law problems, people? Anybody that's struggling with in-laws right now, or any advice about in-laws? You know, and the truth is this: it's important to have your in-laws on your image. Just have a good relationship with your in-laws. It's really important. And the best thing I said earlier on is that, you know, it's just kindness. They're not perfect, so don't expect perfection, but just continue to be kind and loving and embrace them. And, you know, make sure that you ask after them. Let them know that you love them as a parent, you know, as your own parent, that you love them just like that. You know, don't let your spouse struggle with you to ask for his parents. And don't let your spouse struggle with you to ask for her parents. You know, just realize that, you know what, you've got new parents right now, and I've got to just keep asking for them and taking care of them. That's so important. Somebody here says, and where there's no reason, what is that? Talk to me. Yes, that's the reason, always because they're not ready to allow the child. Yes, yes, yes. We've really got to be careful not to become bad in-laws. It's because I've seen a lot of young people that the way they're handling their children today, if they don't change, by the time these children get grown up and marry, they will be bad in-laws. They'll be bad mother-in-laws because the attachment that they're creating is more than it should be. And it's true, you carry this child is completely dependent on you, but know it in the back of your mind that this child is going to grow up into a full-grown woman, into a full-grown man, and they are going to go. And when they go, you've got ready to bless them and bless whoever that they bring home. And that is so important. Fantastic. I'm going to shut down in a few minutes, people. Any questions on in-laws before I go? Talk to me. Let me see. Yes. Any questions on in-laws before I go? Well, welcome. Thank you for listening. This has been 60 Minutes with PD. It's been an amazing, amazing night. We'll see you this time next week. Be blessed.